Everyone, welcome back to my channel. I needed to intro this vlog. So at the beginning of my channel in like fall, I would read a ton of like Kindle Unlimited monster romances, and I love that. But for some reason 2023 has really been my year of like fantasy, contemporary romance, mystery, horror, suspense, general spooky books. But the mood reading gods came down and said, you are in the mood to read monster romance. Plus my Kindle Unlimited TBR was, you know, getting a little wild. So in this video, I am going back to my channel roots and we are doing a weekly reading vlog, Monster Kindle Unlimited Reads edition. I read 3 books in this TBR. You'll see that I'm really just kind of going with the flow of things. I don't have a set TBR when I do this video. I'm just picking up what sounds interesting to me. So I end up reading an alien romance, Taken by My Alien Neighbor, or Taken by the Alien Next Door. I read Captured by the Orc General, and I read Made It to the Monster. Those are the 3 books that I read. I mentioned a few others, but I've spoken long enough. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you are not already, and let's jump on into the vlog. Hello. I have started book number 1, which is Made It to the Monster. This is a book that, I kid you not, has come up, hello lighting, that has come up on my TikTok literally like at least a dozen times in the past year, probably more than that. I finally had to figure out what this story is about this woman who impulsively like buys a book at a thrift store where the owner of the thrift store convinces her that it's like a book of spells, and she buys it and she's like, I'm gonna cast a love spell. Why not? At the very least, I'll have a fun story and maybe the love of my life will magically appear. So she does the spell and she summons the love of her life. Too bad the love of her life is literally a demon, a 7-foot demon with horns, and she is understandably freaked out, so she's trying to banish him, but meanwhile he's like,
my mate has summoned me. This is my one true love. I can't wait to complete our mating bond. She's kind of weird, but it's okay. We're a perfect match for each other.
Very cute, very much falling at her feet. I'm only like 10 pages in, but I am definitely in my monster romance era, and I'm glad to be back. Hello, my loves. It is a few days later, and I'm here with an update for you on mates and monsters. I'm here to tell you that I'm liking this book a lot more than when I first picked it up several months ago and couldn't even get past the first 5 pages. I am about at the 50% mark in this book so far, and I am really enjoying it. If a 7-foot demon with horns could be a soft boy, this is a soft boy, okay? Listen, he is just so in love and so devoted to his mate and caring for her. He views that as his only purpose in his very long life. So he's just very much in love with her, devoted to her. He understands their connection, and he's just like ready to give her everything. She's understandably very wary because she's like, I summoned a fucking demon, and she believes that this demon is trying to manipulate her, so she's very hesitant towards him. Now, I am at a scene that I'm struggling with, and I just passed it, and that is unfortunately the first sex scene. Not because I don't think that the sex scene was well written, but because I think it came at a very odd time. In that moment, without spoiling anything, it did not make sense for the reaction for our main character to have to be, let's fuck. You're gonna eat me out, you're gonna finger me. Because that's not the reaction she would have had. Because at this point, she still very much believes that he's trying to manipulate her. And in her own words, she thinks that he views her as just his personal pussy. And she is very reluctant to do anything intimate with him. So for me, this scene was like, boom, sudden snap, because there was literally no transition, no change in thought before she really out of the blue was just like, let's do this. And yes, there's the explanation of some kind of mating bond, but she's not feeling the effects intensely enough for that to be a reaction that makes sense for that moment. It felt like a sex scene for the sole purpose of there being spice, and a sex scene in this book. You all know that I love a spicy book. I love a spicy monster romance, but the sex has to make sense, which I can argue is somewhat hypocritical because I've enjoyed other books that have done similar things. In this context though, the really difficult feelings that our main character has for this monster is just too direct of a conflict and contrast to what her actions are. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. So I really struggled with that. I'm going to keep pushing through it and finish this book very soon. And I'm excited because I have so many other books that I want to get to. But look at me, actually, that's a lie. I was gonna say, but look at me actually finishing a book before I start another one. And then I literally looked right behind the camera and
it's 2 books I'm currently in the middle of.
I want to make sure I give you this update. I will see you when I have finished this book. I'm not gonna buy these. I'm fully aware that I don't need more clothes, but just know I freaking love these shorts. By the way, hello, welcome to Target. I'm almost done with Made It to the Monster. I have like 40 pages left, 30 pages left, but I have come to Target because I need printer ink to return a pair of glasses that I bought literally the day after I got them. I opened them and the stick literally completely snapped off. Completely, like glasses destroyed. So I submitted a claim to return them because they're brand fucking new. There's no reason they should have done that. So I need to get a printing ink so I can print out the return label and ship it back to the company. So we're here at Target where I will hopefully buy nothing but that printer ink. So you stick with me because I feel like the balance in my content that I really enjoy is definitely like reading updates heavy because obviously it's still a bookish video, but also making sure that there's someone just like me and like my vlogging lifestyle. I'm like, hello, I'm at Target shamelessly vlogging like other people can't hear me. But anyway, I'm off to find ink and to ignore puzzles because I have a hard time finishing them, but I will finish the puzzle. I have an update for you. I finished Made It to the Monster. I've gotta tell you, I am loving being back in my monster romance era so fucking much. You all know I love me a monster romance. With that said, Made It to the Monster, I did give 3.5 stars. While I ended up really enjoying it, I ultimately feel like this is not a book that I am going to remember very well. And initially I was thinking about my review and sitting with it because I finished this book the day before yesterday, I think. But in sitting with it, I was thinking, well, this book doesn't really have a plot. And honestly, that's just not true. The plot is woman summons demon, demon thinks woman is me. They fall in love. And that is ultimately what happened. But this book really only spans about a week and a half. And I really would have loved to have more time with these two characters. I stick by my initial thoughts that the sex scene that we initially get really is kind of unnecessary and jarring because it doesn't make sense for her reaction. In addition, this isn't really a spoiler, but I'll pop spoiler bar here anyway, just in case you don't want to know anything at all. But in addition, when these two finally do get together, right, they're completing their mating bond, we don't get to see that. We get the first like foreplay thing and then it like skips ahead. They're in bed, they're cuddling. And for me, if it's going to be a sex scene in the book, I would have preferred for it to be that scene because that scene is the moment where everything they've been working towards, all the tension in the book that had been building up was finally released, as opposed to a scene that didn't really make sense for the characters' motivations. And I think that my opinion here is that we could have had more thought process for the character, more understanding for how she went from the point of, oh my fucking god, this is a demon, to please eat me out in this bathroom. I need to know more about that. That's it. It was a 3.5 star book. And what book has me grinning like this is that I've picked up my second ever Tiffany Roberts. The first one I picked up was Ensnared, which I may be reading in this vlog. I don't have a set TBR yet, but the spider thing really creeped me out. I could not get behind the spinning of the webs. No, I'm sorry. That was such a genuine reaction of me picturing that scene in the intro. Anyway, so I picked up one that was a little bit more my speed, still an alien romance. This is Taken by My Alien Neighbor. One thing I love about monster romances is the absolutely chaotic titles. So Taken by My Alien Neighbor is about this alien who is on an undercover mission on Earth. His people, a like plague of sorts, wiped out the female population. They are dying out, and his final mission is to come to Earth and find a mate so they can see if humans and this alien species are compatible and if it can trigger the mating bond. He has been on Earth for quite some time and really hasn't had any luck at all until one day he gets a new neighbor, and lo and behold, he's having some mating bond responses, right? This is a plus size heroine as well, which I love seeing. And without telling you anything super spoilery, I just love their interactions. He's like a bumbling fool around her, which is really funny because normally he's like this super sexy Casanova according to other women on Earth. But with her, he's like, literally can't speak and is obsessed with her, and the mating bond for him is super, super intense. And she also feels a lot of lust towards him, but she thinks that he isn't interested in her, that he's not interested in her type, I guess, in her own words, that he wouldn't be looking for someone like her. And obviously, we know that's not true. Now, again, I'll put spoiler here. I don't think it is a spoiler, but I'm gonna be careful just in case you don't want any information. But let's just say I thought Taken by the Alien Neighbor in the title meant like romantically taken, like in a relationship, or like in the historical romance sense that he took her, meaning they fucked. Now, turns out there's a little bit more literal of an interpretation to that, and that is literally taken by the alien neighbor. I'm gonna have to see where that goes, because if you see this cover here, besties, I thought she was, duct taped to the bed for sexual foreplay. But she's duct taped to the bed for another reason. And I'm already thinking it, because I'm like, I don't like the idea of her falling in love with her captor. Something about that gives me an ick. So we're gonna have to see where it goes, but I just really am enjoying this story so much so far, and I have the feeling that this is gonna resolve in a way that will leave me feeling satisfied. But of course, I am going to let you know if this becomes a Stockholm Syndrome kind of situation, and if it does, you will hear my full opinion on it. But I am off to continue to read, and I will update you when I have an update. I wanted to make sure I came in and gave you my like 62% update, because I'm almost done with the book. I know the lighting is weird. I'm doing my best here, but it is very late at night. I am really enjoying this, but I saw a TikTok yesterday that made me laugh, and it was like, what in the Pornhub are you reading? And that's it feels like to read this book. As I mentioned, there were some questionable things in here, but I don't know how I quite feel about it yet. But because our main character is so on board and like very turned on by the things that are happening, I don't know. It's a complicated thing, because I said multiple times in previous videos, if you're familiar with like my monster romance reading videos, if we're gonna have a monster romance set in the human world and our main character's world is gonna be totally rocked by the appearance of said monster, because it completely breaks. Y'all, holding this light and the phone, it's a challenge for my arms. But if you're gonna do that, where it's like a complete breaking of reality, our main character can't just be willing to jump into bed with the monster, in this case, alien hero, because it doesn't make sense. It's broken suspension of disbelief. And I've always said that if you're going to do that, then what I want it to be is completely broken suspension of disbelief, break all of that and make it completely wild, and not have our main character be a monster fucker. And my girl is a monster fucker. She's like, I thought he was sexy before, but now that he's an alien, I like him even more. So that's just my update and how I'm feeling. I am really enjoying it. I can see myself giving this like 4 stars, just depending on where it ends up going. I've finished Taken by My Alien Neighbor, Taken by the Alien Next Door. That's the correct title. As I suspected, I am ultimately giving this 4 stars. I had a really good time with it. So I really enjoyed it. I had a great time with it. I don't think this is for everyone though, because it has a very specific plot and a very specific mission. I would say that it is mostly porn, and just some plot within there, mainly the two characters falling in love and their compatibility. I don't really have a lot to say about this. It was a 4-star book, but what I do have to say is I had no idea that Tiffany Roberts is a pseudonym. And it is actually two people, a husband and wife writing duo. I didn't know that, but if that's common knowledge, you knew that, please let me know in the comments below, because I got to the author's note at the end and I was like, who's we? Who's that? Tiffany and her husband, Robert. Anyway, I really enjoyed that. I am moving on to the next book, maybe the final book, just depending on how I'm feeling. I'm kind of just playing this vlog by ear. It is Ragaru, which is a monster romance, as you can see. This monster is quite literally fucking terrifying. But if romantic horror is a thing, that's what this is, because it is a researcher living in the apocalypse in a very isolated setting, trying to research and monitor these monsters and creatures, which by the cover you can see are quite fucking terrifying. I am terrified to read this, so I'm gonna hold off for a second. I've been reading like crazy. This is like my 11th or 12th book of the month, mostly because I'm doing Escape the Readathon still. It's May, so I'm doing Escape the Readathon, and I'm like reading a little bit more than I have been in the previous months in this year. But while I'm sitting here, I figured we can go through a package I just got. I was on Mel's Patreon sprints a few weeks ago, honestly. No, like a month ago, and people were talking about Gigi and Bo, and I was like, fine, I don't need convincing. I'll go and check it out. Gigi and Bo is a business on Etsy. I believe they are a small business, and they do bookmarks and like stickers and stuff like that. So I have my order. I would love to unbox it on camera, but my address is written all over that. So here we go. Gigi and Bo, it says thank you. That's my face. Gigi and Bo, it says thank you for supporting my small business. If you are interested, here are their socials if you want to check them out, if you like anything that I show you in this little clip. Okay, I got 3 bookmarks, 2 with tassels, because I do love a tasseled bookmark. This is a laminated, like spring themed one. It actually goes this way. You can see how freaking cute it is. It's like spider webs and like flowers with little jack-o'-lanterns as their centers. I love this one. It was giving me all like the spooky spring energy, and this will definitely be one of my like summerween bookmarks. I also picked up Smut Reader, which honestly I'm wishing that I had got laminated, because this is pretty thin and flimsy, but here she is. It's very cute, and I think it's adorable. And my final one is me being a fangirl. It's Taylor Swift. It's a Taylor Swift collage. Obviously, the song inspiration is Lavender Haze. It says, I just want to stay in that lavender haze. Lavender Haze is one of my favorite songs off of the Midnight album, and I can already tell you I will be using this a lot. Oh, and she included an extra bookmark. I was like, why are there 4? I didn't order 4 bookmarks. How freaking cute. This is an oops bookmark, which I assume means that there was some kind of mistake on it, but I can't really tell. It's so cute and such a coincidence, because I actually really do enjoy The Nightmare Before Christmas, and I like Jack. So adorable. This will also be so cute for summer week. And the very final thing that I got for our little bookish unboxing section, by the way, I was just singing Lavender Haze, and I still sing it wrong, because up until literally a few days ago, I swore that that line was, I feel the lavender haze creeping up on me, so real, damned if I do something, something, something. It's surreal. Surreal. I also got this little stack of Taylor Swift's album, which prior to this, I was always a Reputation and 1989 girly. But even though I personally really, really didn't like the Midnight album, the first literally like 6 times I listened to it, now I realize that I really actually love that album, and so many of the songs I listen to on repeat. Of course, there's like recency bias in that it's her most recent album, so I haven't had time to listen to the songs a billion times. This is going on my Kindle, which I'm going to show you because it also has cute Summerween stickers on it. I don't know if you heard me squawking, but This is my Kindle. Here are the cute Summerween stickers I ordered. I have a lot more from Rachel, Gabby's sister, and it's very cute, but I'm realizing this, she ain't gonna fit on the Kindle. No! Because my pop socket is blocking it. Like, no matter where I put it, the pop socket would block it. So I'm gonna have to find a new place for that. But that's it. That's this little portion of the video. I'll see you with updates on Raguru, which hopefully doesn't terrify me, because I can tell you, I'm already terrified. And did I mention there are 3 of them, and the one our scientist researcher. I will tell you, it's been a few days since I last updated you. Over the weekend, I got really bad stomach cramps and really bad stomach pain. And because I associate nausea with anxiety, I was also fighting off a panic attack for most of the weekend at various points throughout the day. But it is now Monday morning. I know it's loud. I apologize. It's literally like almost 80 degrees here, so it's pretty hot and the window is open. I wanted to let you know that I did start Raguru, and I'm DNFing it for now, simply because I was looking at the reviews and I didn't realize this is a prequel to a pretty complex world. It's setting up the story that people who have read the series is already familiar with or are already familiar with. So I'm soft DNFing that. I'm also doing that because I realized that Kimberly Lemming came out with her 3rd book in the I Got Drunk and something to like a mythical creature. This one is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Human. It was supposed to release in April, but it's actually releasing May 23rd, which is tomorrow in this video. So I'm gonna wait till that comes out. The other option on the table is Superbia, which is the sequel to Luxuria. Because I mentioned over the weekend I was fighting off anxiety, I really want the more lighthearted read. So I'm gonna try out Superbia, see how it is. If there's too much tension in it for me, then I'm going to read That Time I Got Drugged and Saved a Human, because I'm very sure that world is like very lighthearted, very much fluff, which is exactly the kind of romance I want to read, and it is about a dragon shifter. So I'm gonna see you with the appropriate update for that, but for now I am going on a walk, and I am just going to literally walk around for no other reason than to enjoy the weather. So I will see you with my next update. I lied, apparently, because I am not reading any of the books I mentioned in the previous clips. Instead, I started a completely new book because I'm a Libra and I can't make a decision. So I'm reading something Orc General, this book right here, and it's pretty short. It's only like 200 pages. I'm really enjoying it. It is about this woman who lives in this world where like magic exists, alchemy exists, and was this huge war between like humans, they call them like the elf people, I don't know why, and the orcs. And what ended up happening is that our main character, her village was attacked by orcs when she was very, very young, like somewhere between 3 and 6 years old. Her village got attacked, and her brother, who was 8 years old, is tasked with helping them get away from the orcs. But they get separated, and she never sees her brother again. And she gets word that her brother is in Broken Bone Mountain, which is orc territory. So she manages to find an opportunity to go to Broken Bone Mountain, but on the way there, she ends up caught in a trap. And the trap was set by an orc general and his army, who were on a mission set out by the king. And this is obviously a monster romance, so it is a love story between our heroine, Kaith, and our orc general, who I wouldn't call Bazzy, but that's not his name. That's what his friend teased him with. And I am really enjoying it. I am only like 30 pages into it, but the book is relatively short, so that's like 10% of the way through, and I wanted to give you that update because I feel like it's exactly the vibes. I'm really enjoying the writing of it and the setup, and I feel like the author has already done a really solid job of making it believable, because one of the things that she has to overcome is like, why is this main character doing this? Why is this main character doing it? Like, the character's motivations feel very real to me, and I am enjoying it. I'm also watching Meg's new video. I'm not sure when this video is going up that you're watching, but at this point it is her like reading every mystery and thriller from the previous Goodreads years, and that's just what I'm up to. I do need to sit down and edit in like 2 hours, so maybe I'll get to that, but I wanted to make sure I let you know that this is the book that I'm reading. And then if for some reason I'm still up at midnight, which I doubt it, then I will finish this book today, and then I will wrap up this video with that time I got drugged and saved a human, because I'm really excited to read that book, and I'm so glad it happened to coincide with the time that I was doing a monster romance reading vlog, even though I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be Kindle Unlimited, because Kimberly Lemming did get a publishing deal with some publishing company, and all of her books are being republished, which I don't know what the story is behind the covers, but I know that the original covers for these books, Kimberly Lemming drew herself, and they're so pretty, and I don't think you can buy those copies anymore, but this book has the same storyline, and I don't think that one specifically was picked up by the publishing company. I don't know. I'm talking out of my ass. That's the update. I am about 50% of the way through Captured by the Orc General. I am really enjoying it. It is giving me all of the cozy vibes. Gotta love New York life. I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a good time. I really like the kind of cozy fantasy thing that we have going on. It's very clear that Kate is keeping a secret. There's something that we know as a reader, but I don't know if that's the whole story. In a way, Kate is also keeping the reader at arm's length. I think that what we know is what the secret is, and it's coming up in the story, and she's like, why don't they trust me? And I'm like, because you're lying and acting weird. That's why they don't trust you. I'm really enjoying all of like the cozy fantasy settings in that. It's just lots of like her healing and working in like this very small village, and like their day in and day out, and just like how she is stitching wounds and tending to children. And there was just like this labor and delivery scene where she had to perform a C-section, and people had never heard of that. And I'm just really enjoying all of the cozy fantasy elements. We've been subtly introduced to the romance. I don't mean subtly, I mean there's been like drops in there that these two characters find each other attractive. But considering that I'm almost halfway through the book and this is a monster romance, I'm just like, I need more of the romance. I want more of the interaction between Kaith and Bazour, because right now we're getting just a lot of Kaith and very little of Bazour, and very little of their interactions aside from them sharing Bazour's house and there only being one bed. This is, I think, my first like official orc romance. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. You could point to a video and be like, you read this in this video, and you would be right. But this is the first orc romance that I think I've read, and I am really enjoying it. I'm also on sprints with Riley, and to set the whole ambiance, I've got medieval fantasy music playing in the background. Good morning. I did finish Captured by the Orc General last night at like 11 p.m. I didn't update you then because I wanted to sleep on it and give you my final rating. I'm giving this book 4 stars. It was such a fun time. It really had strong, like cozy medieval fantasy settings. I mentioned it's like a lot of healing in this small village, and like these two falling in love, and just like all the people around them and their friends and their family, and it's just very cute. With that said, while I did enjoy it, there were certain moments where I had to question if our main character had brain cells. I don't mean that as harsh as it sounds, but I do mean she was there, right, for a specific mission, and she was keeping that mission a secret. And she wanted to ask people questions, but the way she went about asking people questions was so obvious. And each and every time she did it, she'd be like, darn, I'm arousing suspicion. I'll have to be more subtle. And like, girl, there's nothing subtle about the questions that you're asking. You're being so fucking obvious. It's actually ridiculous. But I still really enjoyed it. And I have to say, there at the end, and we got a lot of spicy scenes, which I was not expecting. And I was like, was expecting sweet, cozy by the fireside. No. They're not sweet and cozy people in the bedroom. Is all I'll say. Let's just say my girl loves a facial. We'll see if I keep that in, because I was like scandalized by the book. But what I also wanted to say is that I don't think that there was enough focus on our two characters together in the first half of the story. Eventually they do get together, which is great, and it was very cute, and I love to see them together. But there was this moment where our main character suddenly like thinks, oh, I'm ready to be open to him and I want us to be in a relationship. I'm going to tell him everything. And I'm like, but you didn't receive any new information. Everything that you heard in that conversation with this other person, this town healer, are things that you already knew. So why would that suddenly be the catalyst to you wanting to be in a relationship with this man? In addition, at the very beginning of the story, we have our main character Bazor saying that there's this king, he doesn't really like him, he should kick him out, but he doesn't want to be king. And mild spoiler here, so proceed with caution. In the end, I'm just like, that doesn't make sense that you would do this thing with suddenly like, you've been planning this for months or like even longer, years. You already had a plan in place. You knew it was going to happen. So why that first sentence? Did you start to feel like the characters were deceiving the reader? Not in the way that it sounds, just in the way that things are being held back and then revealed, but in a way that never acknowledged that they were being held back in the first place, which at times made it feel like just inconsistency. But with that said, it was still really, really fun. I'm so glad I read this, and it is May 23rd, which means that time I got drunk and Saved a Human is totally available. It has just released, so it's its publication day. I don't know why I thought it was the time I got drugged and Saved a Human. Probably because dragon, honestly, and that's probably how I misread that word. I'm not going to read that book in this video, and that is because it did not come out on Kindle Unlimited. I was right in that it got picked up by the publishers, by Hatchet Publishing Group, I think, and it is $10 and therefore not on Kindle Unlimited. And this is a Kindle Unlimited reading vlog, so we have an ending to this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. I did really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe if you aren't already, just because it really supports me and I would love to have you stick around, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.